Has Annie Leonhardt finally returned in Attack on Titan? So what's up guys, Foxen here. You got the latest Attack on Titan chapter 106. After years of waiting, Annie is finally back, but unfortunately not in the way that a lot of you wanted. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this breakdown started. First off, let me quickly mention this about the supposed leaks. It turns out that a lot of them were wrong. The WarHammer Titan status, unconfirmed. Levi dying, not true. And I really thought it would be without saying by now, but let me just say it out loud. Early leaks or spoilers could be wrong or fake. There's always a chance that someone could be trolling or just not understand the language good enough and get something wrong. If anything, I would expect it. The part about the mistranslation could be true for the fan translation, so keep that in mind for this. Alright, so at the beginning of this chapter, we're going back into flashback. Finally. Going back 3 years ago now. What is that? It turns out that Eren's Titan is the one that sunk the Titanic. But seriously, how strong is this guy? Eren's Titan must have been hitting the Titan Ghost Gym all that time, just doing the One Punch Titan workout. Eren lifting this Marley ship really reminds me of two things. It looks like Eren has mastered that boulder lifting strength. Just gotta lift with your legs. Although, did you also notice this other parallel? I'll call back to the original Kruger smashing that ship in Grisha's flashback. At this current point, I'm also wondering just how many ships Eren has wrecked before this current one. As for Hanji this flashback, I gotta say that this reminded me of why I freaking loved Hanji. She started this whole thing with some awesome trolling with her greeting. While all of this was going on, Levi was having none of this. Levi was like, I'm not into your weird shenanigans. From the Marley perspective, no surprise these guys didn't even take a second to consider Hanji's proposal. Of course, their brainwashed asses wouldn't even consider talking, not with these so-called devils, even if it meant very likely death. Next up, Yelena. A good chunk of this chapter was dedicated to her backstory, and by extension, the Beast Titan's master plan. I just gotta say, by first impressions, she seemed shady as hell. Although I do have to give her credit for having some Titan-sized gonads to accepting Hanji's tea party and wanting to meet Mr. Attack Titan. But did you notice this? Yelena here was described as this huge girl. Was this just some important random trait? Is she possibly part Ackerman? Or perhaps somehow related to the family that served the Tiber family? Recall that tall-ass random guard? Just a random thought on that. Let's see if anything comes from it. As for Potato Girl this chapter, so hey, just after being taken out, she's already back via flashbacks. So already one of the predictions coming true. Isayama definitely is taking advantage of that fact, just to pull at your heart. And I gotta say it's working. Just seeing Sasha here, very briefly even at the beginning, was making me feel sad. As for Hanji's actual tea party, here I gotta give more love to Hanji and just geeking out over all this new technology. But did you notice? It looks like this was the type of technology that was integrated into the new 3D maneuver gear years later. Anyway, from Yelena, we got quite the juicy info drop about Marley 3 years back. At that time, they had overall 50 divisions with 1 million soldiers, plus 21 battleships, and then something about them working on their aviation war potential. To be honest, I'm not even sure if that's a lot without doing some proper research. More specifically about the battleships. If there's any war history fans out there, let me know. But oh yeah, Marley? You got an army? Screw that, we have the God of Destruction. Not to mention tens of millions more like them inside the walls. Supposedly anyway. Did you notice from this information something about Marley though? I mean, it has been hinted in the past before, but Yelena's whole explanation about their plan really just proves that Marley sucks at forward thinking. Let's look at it, specifically about the mindless Titans. So their whole genius idea was to have the naughty Eldians serve this life sentence on the island as mindless Titans. Why? Well, in their mind, it also served to prevent the Eldians from venturing out into the ocean. Sure, that's a good plan, but then fast forward, what, 100 years? Plan totally backfired. Forget about the wall colossal Titans. Marley themselves can't even land due to this trouble that they themselves caused. And from this, I just gotta love how amused Levi was about this realization. Levi must have been thinking, oh, this is gonna be a lot easier than we thought. And it kind of was. As for the second reason for Marley not being able to invade the island, it's one of the ones we have already known for a while, that Marley had been preoccupied with their own war. Here, just notice that as expected of Marley, they were at war with allied nations. Very nice. It seems that part of the reason for their trouble was the Survey Corps to blame. But I was just wondering, of course the female Titan and the Colossal Titan were removed from the battlefield, but how about the others? Were the Beast Titan and Jaws Titan defeated that easily? Was Peak useless back then? Right now it's starting to sound like they were relying way too much on that nuke. After years and years, the other nations actually started to advance their warfare technology. If you think about it, the Beast Titan isn't fast, so you could bombard that thing easily. And while the Jaws Titan can get hard, and is pretty quick, if you rain bombs on that thing, it's gonna start dying really quickly. By the way, quick side note, did you guys notice the Disco Titan party here? It looks like Isayama's having fun with the Titans each time they come up. As for the truth behind Yelena, it turns out that something I predicted, and also a lot of you guys predicted, turned out to be true. For the longest time, there's been so many nations that have just been wrecked by Marley. Naturally, it wasn't going to be too hard for Paradis Island to find some allies. Within this group was Yelena. Her nation was wrecked and she was forced to becoming this soldier. Unsurprisingly, it turns out that there was always this internal rebel group, although losing motivation. After a while, it seems that Yelena took a liking to the Donkey Kong Titan. So Yelena being a giant furry confirmed. She likes him extra thick. Interestingly, she was referred as a follower in the previous chapter. Right here, she admits to thinking of him as a literal god. And I guess it partly does make sense. These titans are basically godlike creatures in the face of humans. As for Zeke's ultimate goal, supposedly it's the liberation of all Eldian people. In other words, the ones back at Marley in internment camps, and the ones on the island. At this point, this chapter was just getting more interesting by the second. So let's get into it. The Beast Titan's demands. So far I've seen so much disagreement from a lot of you about the Survey Corps working with Zeke. And I could really picture a lot of the people in this room feeling like you did. Anyway, as for the actual demands. Oh, this was gonna be interesting. Especially with the first demand. So yeah guys, it's me, the Beast Titan. About what I did, yeah, forget about that. Why don't you openly accept me? But don't worry about it, let me sweeten the deal. Let me throw in some intel on Marley, connections to outer nations, access to some advanced technology. With this one specifically, Hanji might have been won over. But never mind all of that. The juicier chunk mentioned here from Zeke is to talk about the secret plan. And the so-called secret plan was mentioned quite a few times, so you know it's important. It requires a founding titan, and the titan with royal blood juices. In other words, what a lot of us already had figured out was going on for a while. This really just putting it out there. One important thing to notice here is that Zeke's letters mentions a secret plan being left behind. This right here is starting to sound like something potentially left behind by the previous Beast Titan holders, and just passed down. By the way, did you notice the Pixies cameo this chapter? I definitely want to see this old guy as a commander in the final war. As for Eren Jaeger this flashback, already with the grown out hair. Here, it turns out that yet another mystery has been resolved. This is how Eren ended up revealing the truth about the founding Titan ability. Through this talk, once again you have the tens of millions of Titans brought up again. So however it happens, all of these guys are definitely part of Zeke's master plan. What that is really a question. Is Zeke about to backstab them? Possibly. Interestingly, throughout this, it really only seems like Eren and Hanji were on board with this idea. Hanji was already able to see the advantage of this partnership or truth. But let's be real, she mentioned the Wi-Fi communications. In other words, Hanji wanted a cup of that Wi-Fi. Next up, even more answers. You get to see how Paradis Island stole all those ships. I've seen so many people wondering how the Survey Corps was even able to get into Marley, let alone ride their blimp right through it. This really just shows how rapidly they wanted to develop themselves. I mean, one of the first things they wanted to build was a harbor. It really seems like Hanji was at the head of this though. I'm not sure if this at all would have been possible if she was against it. As for Sasha's comment, oh my god. Hey, how is your skin black? Come on, you can't just ask someone that. Although to be honest, I expected this more from Hanji. Quick side note here, why was Connie so concerned about the kitties? Although I gotta agree with the young stallions talks about the hot springs. They're super important. Anyway, let me touch on the god topic mentioned. Here, you have this literal god being mentioned. Interestingly, this time it's referenced to a god giving the original Ymir her powers. So really going back to the idea of the Titan powers being divine, instead of being from a devil. I gotta think about this a little more, but right now it's really giving me this Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood vibe. Although perhaps more importantly, it seems that this guy thinks positively about the Titan people, this guy not being an Eldian himself. So, how many more people around the world actually think like this? Are there other massive groups out there that see the Eldian people as being divine, potentially? Anyway, as for more Sasha this chapter, you got Sasha going in for the delicious food. And come on man, again, Isayama, you're just pulling at my heart. This made me tear up a little bit, just seeing Sasha again, happy, eating food, too much. Next up, notice Armin here when he was questioned about Bert's memories. So, nothing useful, right? I don't really buy that. Right now, Armin must be getting some hardcore memories about Annie. As for the whole trio, Armin, Eren, and Mikasa, it looks like their potential of falling apart or just getting distance may have started here. You got Armin expressing his willingness to discuss this with the world. Let's go ahead and clear this Titan misunderstanding. On the other side, you have Eren, which is more looking at the reality, which is the world seeing them as devils or monsters. Of course, this talk goes down into some cryptic discussion about needing time, and also preventing interference to buy more time. For this, I think I gotta look at the original dialogue just to get a better idea of possibilities. Still though, that time keyword. By the way, did you notice this not so subtle transition? You got Eren holding up the gun, then bam. Next panel shot is that of Sasha getting shot. So Isayama pretty much linking Sasha's death to Eren. Anyway, back to present day. Here, you have Armin bringing up how he doesn't understand Eren anymore. Right here, let's just think a little about the extent of this. On the one hand, you did have Eren forcing the Survey Corps into action, but even more so, I'm betting that Eren didn't even discuss this with Armin and Mikasa. Ultimately, you have Armin bringing this back around to how their destruction of Marley parallels a grim reminder that the warriors committed years back. I gotta think about this more, but let me mention this right now. I could totally see where Armin is coming from. There's definitely a ton of parallels to that attack. Although to be honest, it's not exactly the same exact scenario. At least in the case of the Survey Corps situation. Marley had just declared fricking war on Paradis Island via Willy Tiber. They simply got first strike. Anyway, the moment you've been waiting years for, Annie's returned. So yeah, Annie's finally returned, kind of. Not really the way you expected or what a lot of people wanted. Seeing Annie still being in this crystal kind of feels disappointing, but I'm not too sure yet. I gotta digest this a little longer. Although here's one thing to wonder. Annie, how old are you? Are you still 16? Are you 20 now? Unfortunately, I think this does make one thing clear. If Annie wakes up, it likely won't be until the final arc in Attack on Titan, which is near the end. Come on, Zeke and Eren, just fist bump each other and force Annie to wake up. Next up, Levi and Zeke this chapter. Once again, I'm just loving their back and forth. I could honestly have this whole chapter of them just talking. It really is some great drama. Let me also mention that right here, Levi was reminding me a little bit of Vegeta. Watch, these guys are gonna turn into best buddies. As for Falco and Gabi, it seems like they're still locked away. They're still in the same clothing too. Seems Isayama's just saving these toys for later. Briefly, you see Mikasa at this gravestone area. It looks like she might be next to Sasha's. So you have Mikasa doing some reflection. At the end of the day, it always seems to come back to a life or death situation for her and everyone else. I'm just wondering if Mikasa's heart is still in this. A lot more people dying are definitely going to come. Alright, final shot. Oh my god, Gabi got super ripped. Although no, it's just Eren showing off his bod. I'm sure some fans are gonna love this more than shirtless Levi. Unfortunately, Hobo Eren is no more. I'm really hoping that Levi told him something about all that hair. It honestly wouldn't be surprising if Levi shaved Eren himself. Ultimately, you have Eren going for that man bun look. So, super important question. Are you a fan? I've seen a lot of mixed feelings from you about this. So, which Eren version was better? Hobo Eren? Or the new and improved man bun Eren? Anyway, let me hear from you now. Question of the day. Are you happy to see the female Titan back this chapter? Or are you disappointed that Annie is still on fricking ice? As for the Beast Titan, which side are you on? Do you think the Survey Corps should have gone with Zeke and Yelena's plan? Speaking of which, what is Zeke's ultimate master's secret plan? Does that include backstabbing Eren? And what do you think is going to happen ultimately between Eren, Mikasa, and Armin? Are they going to get more distant? Anyway, definitely give us a colossal thumbs up and subscribe. A follow-up discussion video will be coming soon. Just waiting for the official release. If you do have a topic you want me to cover in the follow-up discussion, post it below. I think from this chapter alone, I have like 5 topics I want to make full videos on. Fingers crossed that YouTube doesn't freeze me again. So definitely post your thoughts down below, and I'll see you guys later.